everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Allie, this is Allie G Reads, and today I'm doing my May wrap up. I had a pretty decent reading month. As far as like quality, I think there were more ones than like really good ones, but I did read 10 books, so at least it was kind of productive, because I felt like I wasn't really that productive because I felt like May just dragged. Like I was all hot last weekend and now I'm like in a sweater again. So yes, we will go through the 10 books that I read. Without further ado, let's get started. First book I'll talk about is the one I got from the library. I already returned that one. So it is Ararat by Christopher Golden. This is the first in, I think, a trilogy that he did following this like scientist that deals with like weird science, I think he calls it, or weird shit science. This is a horror. So basically this one is this expedition crew goes to Mount Ararat in Turkey, I believe. And they discover Noah's Ark. And then there's a sarcophagus in there, and there is some crazy, creepy thing in the sarcophagus, and they have now unleashed this curse. I give it a 2-star. It started off really strong. I was really intrigued by it, but as it was going on, I just was bored. I just wasn't into it. I didn't find it like creepy anymore. Like it was so strong, and I think it just fell flat to the end. I have the second one from the library here with me, but to be honest, I don't know if I'm actually going to read it. I might just like say fuck it and not read it. So yeah, I gave it a 2-star. It had some creepy imagery, so I can't say I hate it. It started strong. Again, can't say I hate it. But yeah, let's just call it that. The next book I have here is The Manual of Detection by Jedediah Barry. What did I give this? Okay, I did give this a 3-star. This is a really interesting book. I feel like it's like a cross between like a detective noir and Inception. There's a lot to do with these like cases that are kind of like odd and interesting, and things don't really make sense. There's this like secret detective society that follows this guide called the Manual of Detection, and you kind of like are uncovering this mystery while this detective is. It's definitely one of the most unique books. I would classify this as like almost like a surreal book, something with magical realism in it. It was really good. I was getting bored at some points, and it's not even that long, hence the 3-star. I was getting a little confused at first until they tell you, once you understand what's going on, it gets less confusing, but the build up to understanding what's going on is kind of hard to follow. So yeah, if you like surreal or weird fiction, or you really liked like detective noirs and you want something different, if you liked Inception, you'll probably like this book. My other library book I got, Deathless by Catherine M. Valente. This was interesting in a concept. I got this recommendation from someone at TikTok, someone that does TikTok. And I thought it sounded so cool because it's supposed to be a retelling of the Russian folklore of, oh my God, why is this slipping me? Koshi the Deathless. There we go. So it's hard to explain this. So I'll go with the folklore. So the folklore of Koshi the Deathless is basically like this crazy, scary, like boogeyman villain in Russian culture and folklore. And basically, there's a story in the mythology where his wife, Maria Mironova, I'm butchering these names today. Anyway, Maria, she ends up being able to like capture Koshi the Deathless, and she holds him in the basement because he's like immortal, and he has this ability to like hide his soul or his death in an egg that's in a chicken, that's in a goose, that's in a deer. Like it's like this crazy thing. So this book was supposed to be, now that I got the mythology out of the way, told, it's a retelling of Maria and her life with Koshi and leading up to that. I think it was supposed to be a feminist kind of tale, but I found it not to be. I'm part Russian, but I never really was like raised with that kind of stuff. So I saw some reviews on Goodreads by people from Russia that were saying that this feels like cultural appropriation. So I'm not going to speak to that. I am going to say I like the folklore better. And I felt like this was not moving fast. I felt like it was almost romanticizing the villain, which, like, if done right, you can kind of sympathize with them, but at the same time, if it's done wrong, you feel like it's gratuitous. There's like, I thought it was going to be more of like with Lenin power and like there's a war going on, but it seems like it kind of glosses over that. It just, and apparently this author is not Russian. So a lot of people were upset that like someone that wasn't Russian did this story and didn't do it well or didn't do it justice. So I'm not going to include that part. I am going to say the mythology was just better. The folk tale was just better. It was more well done, obviously. And everything she tried to do in this book fell flat. I didn't even find it like this badass feminist story like I thought it was going to be. I found like Maria in the old tale was better. I don't know. It just fell flat on too many parts for me. So I gave it a 2-star. Do with that what you will. My nonfiction read for the month was The Purity Myth. I hate the glare. How America's Obsession with Virginity is Hurting Young Women by Jessica Valente. This was written like early 2000s, I think. So some of the references made in it are kind of like falling flat at this point. But that does not take away that every single person, whether you are a male or female or whatever, should read this book. I was so blown away by so many things in this book. I don't want to be too bold and graphic, but I am a very sex positive woman. I feel like I'm very pro-sex, obviously with the right person. I remember being in school, and I didn't even go to a Catholic school, and I remember them bringing someone in who was preaching abstinence and made us sign an abstinent card. And I'll never forget that, because I was like 16. No, I was in grade 9. So I was like going to be 15. And I just didn't like, I remember not feeling right about it at that age. And I'm very happy that I had a mother that was very like, I remember telling her about it. And she basically was like, you know, like, if you feel it's right with the right person that you love, you shouldn't be expected to wait until marriage. And I appreciated that, because it made me feel okay with how I was feeling inside. And this book touches a lot on that. It talks about like this like toxic patriarchy on women, and preserving them and to be pure. And if you have sex before marriage, you're automatically like lesser than, or you're still called a slut if you sleep around, but men can sleep with however many people they want. Like, there's still that bullshit. And I fucking hate it. But this book at least brought to attention a lot of other things I didn't really know about. For it talks about rape culture, and it talks about all of that stuff and how society deals with it, how we victim blame still. And it's just, it was such a good book. I tabbed the heck out of it, as you can see, because there were so many things that I was like completely like blown away by. I gave this a 4-star because, again, I wouldn't really say it's my all-time favorite, but this is so good, and I recommend every single person read this book. It's phenomenal. So pick it up. I read this book I got from a thrift store years ago. It's my favorite author, On Chisel Beach by Ian McEwan. I gave this a 2-star. Unfortunately, I think this is the lowest I've ever rated one of McEwan's stories. It's short. I tabbed something off I liked in it. Again, McEwan has a very interesting and beautiful way of writing. His stories are also unique, always unique. This takes place, I think, in the 60s. It doesn't say. So this takes place in the 60s, and this whole book takes place in like basically like a couple hours. This young couple is on their honeymoon, and you're dealing with their feelings about consummating the marriage. Interesting concept. It just like, it just didn't do it for me. I thought it would. It just did not do it for me. I feel like the female character is asexual, if anything, and it was never really like explored further, which I kind of wanted. But I think this book was written in like maybe the late 90s, early 2000s, so I feel like maybe it wasn't talked about as much. But if that was maybe explored more, I might have liked it better. I didn't like the male character at all. I thought he was shit. So 2-star, unfortunately, not one of my favorites by my favorite author, but that's to be expected. My classic for the month. I read, oh my God, you can't even see that. Faust, Part 1, by Goethe. This was translated from German by David Luke. This is an Oxford classic. This tale is basically where we get the term Faustian bargain from. This is about a man named Faust, and he makes a deal with, I forget his name, Mephistopheles, who is he makes bargains at the crossroads for the devil. And Goethe wants like all the knowledge in the world in exchange for his soul. It's a poem. No, it's a play. Fuck, all over the place today. It's a play. So it's stylized as that. It's super short. There's technically 4 parts. I don't know if I'm going to read the other parts, to be honest. What did I give this? A 3-star. I thought it was really, I have yet to find a German translated book that I really don't like. There's something about this being a classic and translated. It's so beautiful. I definitely want to read more Goats. I just don't know if I'm going to read more Faust. This is a really underrated author, and I love this cover. It's Mr. Fox by Helen Oyeyemi. This I'm also going to classify as surreal fiction. Helen Oyeyemi does surrealism very well. Magical realism, surrealism. This is basically about an author, Mr. Fox, and he's married, but he is obsessed with his muse that he created, Mary. Mary, Daphne's his wife. And he becomes obsessed and she comes to life. And he is now stuck, reckoning all the things that he's done to his muse. And his wife is now like battling for his affections with this muse. This I gave... Oh, I didn't rate it. I remember why I didn't rate it. I couldn't figure out how to rate this properly, and I don't want to be unfair. So I think for the right audience, this is an easy knock out of the park 4 or 5-star book. I don't know if it could ever actually get a middle of the road rating because it's so different, and it's so different. So, a lot of people didn't like it because they didn't like the writing style and like the back and forth kind of thing. I understand that. So again, I don't really know how to rate this. I don't want to be fair, but I think if you do like surrealism or you're a writer, this is a good book for you. This next book, I had such high hopes for, like such high hopes. Hamlet and Judith by Maggie O'Farrell. I love this cover. What did I give this? Okay, I did give it a 3-star. This is... I'm like hesitating how to explain it. I'm going to kind of spoil it because I don't think people would stick. Like if I went into this blind, not knowing who this was supposed to be, like this historical retelling was supposed to be about, I would have given up. This is basically about William Shakespeare's children, Hamlet, Hamnet, Hamlet, and Judith. This is about the love story between him and his wife, called Agnes here, but if there's a historical note in the back about how Anne could be like from Agnes, whatever. And same with like Hamlet. It was written Hamnet, but it's the same name. This is basically about their love story and their children, and their son dies from the plague, and how that ripple effect happens, and how he then wrote Hamlet. Hamlet is one of my favorite plays ever. It's one of my favorite works of Shakespeare. Again, I had such high hopes for this. I was so bored midway through. The scene when the death happens and like leading up to it is really like interesting. It's really well written. You can feel the grief. Everything else, it didn't do for me what I thought it would. So I'm disappointed by it, which is why I didn't give it a higher rating. Okay, I have 2 left. How do I want to do this? I'll go with a really good one. What the hell? Okay. The Summer That Melted Everything by Tiffany McDaniel. This book is so fucking good. It's a 4-star. Easy. It's so beautiful. And it's so philosophical that it really does make you like pause. This book takes place in 84 in Ohio. And this man is a prosecutor in the town, and he writes a note in the paper, a letter to the devil inviting him to this town. And the devil responds and shows up. But he shows up as a 13-year-old black boy. And the prosecutor's son finds this boy outside the courthouse, and they become friends. They go home together, and he basically becomes like family. Wow, this is like mind-blowing. I said in a TikTok I made about it that fans of A Little Life will really like this because it's very sad, it's very emotional, but it's purposefully emotional, which you need. Like, I felt like A Little Life was kind of gratuitous. Whatever. I'm not gonna get into that book right now. This book though is so amazing. She does a really good job. She's a beautiful writer. I tabbed off like so many, like I highlighted almost like a whole page here. So many beautiful passages. And she does this great thing at the beginning of each chapter where she puts like a quote from Milton's Paradise Lost. She really makes you think about what we consider evil, but what we should know and recognize as evil. And we're so concerned with like the devil and, you know, God in heaven and all that. But humanity is doing some really awful fucking shitty things. And there are some really horrible humans here. It's excellent. This is an excellent book. I might give it a 5-star by the end of the year. Sometimes my ratings change. The more I think about a book, the more I ponder it. But right now it's a 4-star. This book is so good. And I love any story where like the devil plays a character. I think it's really interesting how people can kind of blur that line of morality. And this did it incredibly. It's so beautiful. There were some parts I was kind of like, but it's not long. It's worth it. It's so good. It's so good. So definitely check this one out. And finally, so a little backstory as to why I reading this book or read this book. I try to be really open-minded when I pick books. There's genres that I don't normally gravitate to, but I try really hard to be like objective about books, and I try really hard not to be closed-minded and write people off when they read something, because I hate that like elitist behavior around reading, where people are like, I only read nonfiction and you're less because you read this. Like, I fucking hate that. Mind you, I prefer a certain type of writing, but I will never fault someone if they like something that maybe I don't, but I also want to know why you like it. So I'll try to read these books. I got this book recommendation on TikTok because TikTok has a lot of women on there that read spicy books, they say. So I grabbed this one, Credence by Penelope Douglas. I have so many thoughts on this. So this book, this is definitely erotic fiction. Green tabs are things that I fucking hated, and blue tabs are like the sex scenes, like when they start. I wish I had paper clips and I could clip off. Some of these sex scenes go on for like quite a few pages. But basically this is about a 17, soon to be 18-year-old Tiernan, whose parents passed away and she has no family anywhere, and they were like rich kids. She was a rich kid, whatever. And the only family she has left that she has to go to until she's 18, when she can gather the inheritance, blah, blah, is her dad's stepbrother. And her dad's stepbrother has 2 sons. She doesn't actually know these people. She's never met them. But they live in like the remote mountains of Colorado. And yeah, this is semi-incestuous. They're not blood related. So like, you know, I give it like, apparently like taboo eroticism in books is a thing. I did not know this. But she does have sex with her uncle and her 2 cousins. They're not blood related. I'm going to say that again. But it's so like, it's so it's so weird. Apparently like, yeah, like I didn't know there was like a subgenre of erotic fiction that is like taboo. So I'm learning this. Again, I'm sex positive. I'll never judge someone like ever, unless you know what I mean. But if this gets you off, sure. What I will say, I give this a 2-star because I didn't actually hate it. The problem with this book, there's very problematic things, hence all the green tabs. This is just a bunch of toxic people stuck in a house together, and a bunch of toxic stuff happening all the time. Bad. I did not like that at all. I don't like rape fantasies. I don't like incest, whether it be blood related or not. I don't like this the thing where like the girl is seen as like an object or less than because she sleeps around. I don't like that. But I will say this author does write some really good steamy scenes. I'll give her that hands down. Like, I've read some steamy scenes in books where you're laughing because it's so like ridiculous. These were actually written very well. So I can't say I hate it, and I will not fault her. She's good at what she does. Let's just say that. However, everything else in the book is bad. And people recommend this on TikTok all the time, and I don't know why. Perhaps in my search to find out why, I'll understand. But like, this one comes up a lot, and I don't think I would actually recommend this to anyone. I do want to check out more of her books, but apparently she writes a lot of taboo subjects, so we'll see. But this is the start of my journey into erotic fiction. I definitely dove in the deep end first, and I should not have. I should have maybe worked my way up, but here we are. So do with that what you will. Fuck. And that's it. As you can tell, it was an interesting reading month. So I hope you'll continue to follow me on this journey into finding books that are good. And yes, just another side note, I never want someone to feel like if they enjoy a book that I think differently of them. Definitely not. Like, if you are reading, I am happy. I wish more people would read. When people find the niche that they like, that gets them to read again, I am here for it. I don't care what book you like. If all you read is romance, good, you're reading. I think just the importance of literacy and literature and books are amazing. And a lot of these romance authors I know are self-published. So it's nice that it's going right into their pockets, and you are supporting often women. So it's women supporting women. So yes, please, even if I roast a book to death, like, please know, if you watch these videos, I am never talking about people that like these books. These are just my opinions. So I want this to be a reading safe space. I want people to like enjoy reading and talk about books, whether it be something I liked or didn't like, right? So with that being said, please like, comment, and subscribe. I do have plenty more coming. And I'm going to continue my series on the bookshelf tour. And yeah, thank you so much for joining. I don't have an exit. Bye.